Providence Television International, the game changer, taking you to the outer limits of television.
Welcome to the program Thoughts and Visions on Providence Television International. I am Ugbebo Ikekwa. With me in the studio is Dr. Emmanuel Egariwa. You're welcome.
Well, thank you very much. I think this zeroes in normal thoughts, and periodically we do this so that we can sensitize our viewers in some directions. And yes, and that's what we're going to do today.
Exactly. And there is quite an issue that is burning, exactly, especially in the hearts of most Nigerians. We'll be concentrating on the topic nation building. Sir, first of all, from your view, what does it take when it comes to nation building?
Well, it takes a lot. It's not just a concept. I think it is something much more than that. It is real. Nation building is something you can perceive. And it happens so often that sometimes in some countries, in some countries that they take it for granted. Okay? But in many African countries, we are still grappling with that. It doesn't mean anything to our leaders. And whereas the indices are obvious. The indices of altruism, in other words, selflessness, determination to do right for the people, determination to be upright, determination to do the will of God, determination to be sure that you show compassion to the people. These are some of the indices, really. And nation building is not a circus. It's not for court jesters. Because if you go around many countries in Africa, most of the leaders, they are just court jesters. Okay. They do not know exactly what it means to do nation building. And if you talk seriously about this, we must do some little comparison with our brothers in the Western world who are showing the way, for instance. I mean, I like giving the example of the UAE, United Arab Emirates. Okay. You have two key cities there. You have Abu Dhabi and you have Dubai. People are running to Dubai on a daily basis. But Dubai is in the desert. People sat down. They were able to think out of the box. How do we build this place into an international masterpiece? And they did. Okay? They did. Today, everybody is running to Dubai. Everybody is running to many places around the world, either for vacation or for whatever. And I think that it takes a little extra for leaders to go on the course of nation building. You have to be able to maneuver and to be able to go through the labyrinth of pains and misery and things like that. That's what nation building is all about. Nations are built on blood and sweat. Yes. Gritty determination. Very gritty determination. The ability to succeed where you imagine that failure is staring you in the face. Okay? And it also has to do with personal courage. Okay. How do people assess me? Okay? How does history assess me? How will my name be written on the right page of history, for instance? Those are some of the issues that we must look at. And our leaders are oblivious of some of these things. And it's unfortunate. Because as I said, it's not a circus. It's not a place where people just go to and create leisure. No, nation building is not for leisure. It takes sweat and grit. Yes, shared. Look, the kind of determination that is there is such that you cannot replicate anywhere. Okay. Because you want your nation to be where it's supposed to be. And that takes a lot of sweat, sometimes blood, to be able to do that. And there are many people in history who have gone through this. Okay. Yeah.
Over time, in the course of describing what nation building should be, I've been hearing you talk about leaders. Is it just leaders? Is it not a collective thing to build a nation?
It is, but leaders must take the way.
Okay.
Yeah, leaders, and that's why they should lead, so that others can follow. It's not a complex thing as such. Okay. And what that means is that leaders must play their role creditably to be sure that the people are not left in abeyance. You must carry people along and let them know your resume. You must declare your resume. There must be no concealment in leading the people. Yes, nothing about you should be fake.
Okay.
For instance,
Okay.
you must declare your resume, your right resume, for example, and let the people know that you mean business. Because it's a serious business. I mean, nation building is a serious business. I must pick people who will work with you. It's not as if you are up there and some of your lieutenants are somewhere else. There must be a complete synergy between you and the people who you have brought into government. That's important because you must show the way. In most countries in Africa, you find the leaders going one way and the lieutenants going the other way. There's nothing in between to glue them, as it were. So that in itself creates a problem. And I believe that yes, it can be done. Why not? It can be done. Nation building can be done. It was done by United States. It was done by Britain. It was done by Germany. It was done by Italy. It was done by UAE. It's been done by Rwanda, for instance.
Okay.
So we can take a cue from some of these countries in history.
I know that when we talk about such names as Zik, Awolowo, you have so many more names to add. At a time like this, presently, in most African countries, we do not have the likes of individuals who were nation builders. And what would you adduce? What reason would you adduce to this lack of will for individuals to be as good as those leaders that we had at that time?
The crop of leaders we have now, they don't have what we call the spirit of nationalism. I mean, I'm happy that you mentioned all of these names. They have the spirit of nationalism, the nation first. What do I do for my country? Without expecting what your country should do for you. What do I do for my country? How do I write the name of my country on the right page of history? Okay, how will history judge me vis-a-vis what I've done for the country? That's one thing that ran through all of these people that you mentioned. Nkrumah, for instance, you didn't mention that.
Exactly, yeah, I did.
Yeah, but he did a lot for Ghana. Nyerere in Tanzania. Okay, Mandela in South Africa. We can go on and on and on. But that is lacking in many places across Africa now. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because we still think that leadership is for leisure. Or rather, nation building is for leisure. They are tied together. The indices of nation building and leadership are tied together. And good governance, by the way. So I think that our leaders must always take a cue from people who have done it before. They must take a cue and decide on what to do to better the lot of the people they govern. The people they govern should not be left out in the cold. Yes, while you are enjoying. No, these things must be collective. While you are feeling the pains, you must also feel the pains.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a collective thing. You cannot be on the high horse. And then you have people who are down there below who are languishing in misery and pain and trauma.
Okay.
No, you cannot.
So would I be right in saying that you believe that one of the tenets of a good nation builder is that he must be selfless?
Selfless, altruistic, yes. Altruism is one of the issues, really.
Okay.
He must look at the nation beyond what the ordinary people see.
Okay.
Yeah, he must be able to take the people to where ordinarily they don't want to be. As long as it's positive. Must leave a mark behind so that others can follow. Yes, leave a mark, create a pathway so that others can follow what you have done. I mean, even in the Bible, for instance, we have the example of Moses, a great leader. Yeah, he took the people out of bondage in Egypt and he got to the Red Sea. Here was a challenge in front, here was a challenge at the back with the Pharaoh and his horses and chariots. And he connected with God. That's what I said when I said piety. Okay. Piety is the willingness to do that which God wants you to do. Yes. We don't ask God what he wants us to do. That's why a lot of people say in this country that we have leaders who are godless. Okay? All right? So, but Moses connected with God because he reached the end of the road. What do I do? He asked God, what do you have in your hand?
Okay.
Said, Father, I have the staff. Use it. He used it and the Red Sea was open. The same thing is happening today. When we reach the end of the road, we must go back to the Creator and ask, what do I do to make the people happy? What do I do to make the people have the gains of governance? Okay. A lot of our leaders are not doing that, unfortunately, and it runs down the whole thread of governance and leadership. It's unfortunate we have to be talking this way because we've reached a point somewhere when people are losing hope. There's absolute despair, for instance, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be at all. The leaders must do things to make the people believe in them more and more on a daily basis. Yeah, that's what nation building is all about. Correct. And you must have respect for the rule of law. A country that does not have respect for the law and constitution It's back to the Stone Ages.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay, we're going to take this step by step because your story as regards Moses brought me down to something. When God said, what do you have there? And he had this stuff. It brings us to the issue of resources or resource management, as the case may be. In most countries, we find that the leaders, especially when it comes to Africa, they mismanage their resources. And what do you think is actually, at the time, a friend of mine told me, he said, is Africa really caused with bad leaders?
No, really. I mean, exactly. That's what I said. You must connect. I mean, some of these things are divine, by the way. They are divine, and you must connect with God on that basis. You must ask questions. What do I do from here? You must have some kind of illumination. I'm not even talking spiritually now, but these things are real. All right. You won't believe this. Some leaders we have in this part of the world, they don't believe that God even exists.
Oh, yes.
Yes, they don't. I mean, they believe that they have powers from somewhere and that they can do whatever they want to do and get away with it. That makes room for sadism. For instance, you keep people down almost perpetually in poverty and all of that. And you are out there, you are enjoying yourself. It doesn't add up. When the people are suffering, suffer with them.
Okay.
You must be on the same page with the people. Yes, nothing should separate you from the people. Together, you should reach the El Dorado. All right. If the things are good, let them enjoy the good of what goes on in governance. If things are not working well, tell them. That's what I said at the beginning. You must declare your resume.
Okay.
All right. You must let the people know what your action plan is. A lot of our leaders do not have action plan, by the way. They don't have what they call a blueprint. They just jump into governance. And they begin to grapple with all kinds of things. They begin to meander, breaking the labyrinth of pain and misery and trauma.
Okay.
Yes, that's what happens.
Let us bring this down now to Nigeria. At the time, Nigeria was the giant of Africa. And I'm still coming down to this issue of resource mismanagement. Is there any way, with the level that you see Nigeria today, we'll talk about other countries, but with the level that you see Nigeria today, is there hope for us to be able to get back to where we were some 50, 40 years ago?
And there's no reason why we shouldn't. There's
Okay.
no reason at all. Everything depends on leadership. It is leaders that take people to the El Dorado. It is leaders that make room for good nation building.
Okay.
Yes. Nation building is not a concept that comes from outer space. It's here with us as humans, all right? So, but yes, you have raised a very good point. We can go back to those days if we have the right person. And it takes just one person. By the way, this will also shock you. In all of history, just one person will turn things around because you have to have the vision. And as I've often said, I wrote this in one of my books, vision without commitment is lost opportunity. You're talking about wastages in resources.
Yes.
We have been overblessed. I think that's why the people are even saying, God, why did you bless us this much? Because we have not suffered for anything. We have not. People live in Iceland. They have been able to overcome the challenges.
Yes.
Look at, we carried in some of our news. People were almost frozen in some parts of Europe. It was extremely cold. But those are challenges for leadership, for nation building. Yeah, we don't have natural disasters as such. We don't have typhoon, cyclone, and all of those things. We only have occasional spate of floods and things, even when floods are being predicted. Oh, is the government, 31 states are going to be affected and all that. We'll go to Indonesia and know what flooding is, go to India. But the people have been able to manage all of this. Okay, we have natural resources. This again will put you on the edge. The natural resources we have in this country, more of them are still buried underground that we have not discovered. A few years ago, would you have believed that gold will be flowing in Zamfara? No, you will not believe it. But it's there, flowing, effortlessly.
And it baffles me that before we're talking about these other resources, we haven't managed the ones on ground.
Yes, because have we even got the wherewithal?
Oh.
Yes. Have we got the wherewithal? The mental strength. That's what I'm saying. The mental strength to be able to manage some of these things. Because it takes a lot. It takes genius to be able to manage what you have. Particularly when you are building a nation towards perfection and excellence. A lot of people say today that Nigeria should have overrun Taiwan, should have overrun Singapore, Malaysia. I saw something on the internet the other day on social media where palm fruits are being turned into something else. Things that were got from here, from NIFO.
Exactly.
Yes, palm fruits. Got there. Malaysia came here many years ago, many decades ago, to pick those things from NIFO here. What has NIFO become now? A shadow of itself. Yes. And yet, this is the irony. When Nigerians live here, they go abroad, they excel, meaning that the environment is not right. They go abroad, they excel in medicine and engineering, in computers and stuff like that.
Okay.
Meaning that we need to create the right environment for nation building. Our leaders need to encourage us to build a nation that will meet our dreams. I keep talking about it to people of my generation. I look at the country where I was born into, okay? And I look at what is happening and I shake my head in lamentation. This country was a good country. After we were sending money from here to kids abroad for schools and things like that, look at where we are. Just look at where we are. Go to the street, there is misery on the faces of people. Yeah. Misery written all over their faces. Why? Because our resources are not being managed the way they should.
Okay.
Yes.
But coming from the axis that you are quite grounded when it comes to the law, is there any way that the law has a role to play in nation building?
It has. It should have. But some of these things we are talking about are not justiciable.
Not justiciable. Not
justiciable. I mean, I will tell you that they are not justiciable. That's the summary of everything that we are talking about. Okay. If the law says you must take good care of people who are ill, you must make sure that they have good schools. You must make sure that they have good infrastructure, and the government tells you, oh no, they have no money. That's not justiciable. Yes, that's the summary. It's not as if the law does not protect all of this. It does. Okay. But there's always an escape route, and that's a sign of weakness. Yes.
And so let us come down now to the issue of, because it takes a good leader. And I remember in one of your books, you mentioned the qualities of what a leader is. Is it that Africa is bereft of these qualities when it comes to those who are supposedly called leaders?
No, the issue is the way they even come into governance. I mean, look at Zimbabwe.
The electoral process?
Yeah, the electoral process. The way they come into governance. Questionable, for instance. Look at Paul Biya. Paul Biya is 92. He's still there in Cameroon. What good can come out of Paul Biya? He has forced himself there again for another 7-year term. He wants to die in office so he can be given a state burial. And they dot all over the place, all over the place. Look at Idi Amin. Idi Amin was even a cannibal. Look at Doe in Liberia.
Doe in Liberia.
Yes. Samuel Doe in Liberia. Mobutu Sese Seko. Yes. Look at all of them. So and that's what this young man is saying in Burkina Faso, Traore, that we must build an African continent that we can call our own. Yes. We must build a continent that we must be proud of. Pan-Africanism, that's what it is.
Yes.
We must build an Africa that we must be proud of. Yes, and it's true. And I believe that these things can change.
Okay.
If we make room for meaningful electoral process. Yes, because there are many people out there, starting from the local government, who are good enough to be local government councillors, good enough to be local government chairmen, good enough to be governors, and all of that.
Okay.
Yes, we must make room for a very meaningful electoral process, so the right people can come into governance with the aim of building a nation. Okay. Yes, that's what I said initially. It's not for leisure. It's not a circus.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
It's not a circus. And it's not for court jesters. No, it's not. It's not at all. It's a serious business. In fact, nation building, you put your life on the line. For crying out loud, you put your life on the line for the sake of your country, for the sake of your nation. If you look at the presidents of the United States, look at all of them, the same thing running through them, right from Washington, to Jefferson and the rest. The same thing to Abraham Lincoln. The same thing running through them. America must be the top.
Okay.
Yes, it must be the top nation in the world, and they have kept to that.
Okay.
So it's like, truly speaking, it's like a covenant. Nigeria must be first in Africa. Let it be a covenant. Nigeria, we have been blessed with so many resources. So too many resources, for goodness sake. And Nigeria, somebody wrote a book the other day, I think I interviewed him here, he's a professor.
Yes.
That a rich country with poor people.
Okay.
Yes. A rich country with poor people. Nigeria is excessively rich. So the question is, why do we remain poor?
Why do we remain poor?
Yes.
And can an issue of colonization, not even as colonization in the past, but recent decolonization by the Western powers, we see something like the IMF always trying to push things down the throat of African nations that they wouldn't want to sell.
Look at Traore. Has he not refused these carrots?
Yes, exactly.
They dangle carrots in your front, you take these carrots, and then you subjugate yourself. That's what they are doing. Many African countries do not need the IMF. They do not even need assistance, any assistance from the World Bank. Because once you do, I mean, it's a natural law. Once you are a debtor, you become a slave to the creditor. But you can do without going cap in hand to IMF.
So we're talking of modern day slavery. That's what the IMF.
That's what it is.
Okay.
That's what it is. Because they want to subjugate you. They will be pleased to give you money, but you must pay. If you don't pay, you seize your assets. Okay? Even China is doing that now. It's neo-colonialism, by the way. They will build railways for you. They will do all sort of things. But somewhere in between, they want to get something back for their own country. Yes. Look at all the Western countries. Our people seize money here. They put it in Swiss banks and all that. They are happy you are doing that. Yes. And they're also laughing at you because the country back home is impoverished. And yet, billions are being stacked away somewhere. So it's a contradiction, really.
Okay.
It's a contradiction. I'm sure you know this. This should not surprise you. It should not even surprise our viewers. There is no governor. There's nobody who wants to run for the position of governor or Senate or House of Reps. I'm not even talking of the presidency. There is no person who wants to run for any of these offices who is not a millionaire.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Yes.
There is no one. Yes, I can say that anywhere. There is no one. Even some local government chairmen, some of them are millionaires before they go into the office. Yes, some, not all, obviously. Now, the question is, haven't been a millionaire before you went into that office. What then is the attraction? The further attraction to do sleazing.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because there's no point really. And that's where the spirit of nationalism comes in. Yes.
I actually wanted to bring that up. You were one time in governance.
Yes.
And at that time, we didn't have such things like corrupt practices. I even remember at the time, you told me that even when you were offered official quarters,
yes,
you refused. You drive yourself to work.
I drove myself many times. My driver hopefully is still alive. Drove myself to the office many times. I stayed in my house.
I can't think of any politician who can do that presently.
Even local government chairman will go with siren and all sorts of things. Their lure of office does not make room for nation building.
Okay.
People are attracted to their lure of office. Yes, and that removes the niceties of nation building. Look, in the Netherlands and many countries in Europe, prime minister, they ride on bicycles to their offices. Bicycles. I'm not even talking of cars. Bicycles to their offices. We have seen it before. Yes. And it's doable.
Okay.
It's doable. The attraction is too much. Okay. The perks of office, too much. Yes. People should govern without heirs. Yeah, the attraction is too much. That's why they are killing themselves to get into whatever position.
Exactly.
Yes. And when it comes to election, they want to come back almost in perpetuity. They do it all over Africa. You have seen it. Yeah, in perpetuity. Whereas these things are transient. They are transient. Why must you be attracted to the allure of office? When I was in government in this state a long time ago, I knew that one day this thing will end anyway. I was not attracted to the siren, and also they didn't mean anything to me really, because I knew that one day it will end. Yeah. Yes. And another thing, people should learn to attach themselves to their professions.
Okay.
You are a lawyer, you go into government. When you leave there, go back to your chambers and practice. You are an engineer, go back. You are a pharmacist, go back to your pharmacy. Okay? When they are filling papers, what your profession, they say they're a politician.
Only one country in Africa won't mention
it just doesn't make sense. How can politics be your profession?
Exactly.
It just doesn't make sense. You have your original profession. So you go there. Go back to what it is. And once it's time again for you to offer services with the spirit of nationalism as your point of contact. Okay. The spirit of nationalism. I've said that for the obtained time on this program. Yeah. We are still tied to the cleavages of religion, ethnicity, and other primordial things. No, why must that? You want to run for the position of governor. Oh, which local government is he from? Which senatorial district? You want to run for a position of the president. Where is he? From what zone? From what tribe? And all sorts of things. And at the end of the day, your attention will be given to those things that do not just add up.
Add up.
Yes, they do not add up.
Okay.
That's where your alliance will be.
All right. In one of your books, you as regards leadership, you kept on mentioning compassion, that the leader must be compassionate. Can you expand on that? Compassion
is at the base of all of this. Yes, it's a wonderful thing, really. okay, because you are there. It has to do with empathy. The people are poor, how do you lift them up from poverty? If people have no food, you give them food. It's within your purview to give them food. It's within your purview to give them good health facilities. It's not as if you leave them somewhere and then if you have a headache, you run to Saudi Arabia. No, that's not it. That's not nation building. You must attach yourselves to them. Your desires, their needs and desires must be tied to your own brief. That's what it is. And if there's a disconnect, then that means there's no room for nation building. Because nation builders are people who can lay down their lives for the people.
Okay.
Sweat and blood. Sweat and blood. Without counting the cost. And it has nothing to do with age. That's even the irony. A young man of 39, 40 can do things that a 70-year-old man cannot do. Gowon was here in his early 30s, 32, when he was head of state. All right? He led Nigeria through the Civil War. That's not to say that he didn't have some commas here and there.
Okay.
But at 32, the latest Spieth was 27 when he was the governor of Rivers. He's still alive. 27.
Exactly.
Yes. How old was J.F. Kennedy? He was in his 40s when he was president of the United States. Yes. Even Clinton was about 44 or thereabout when he was president of the United States. So age has nothing to do with it. Okay? But in this part of the world, we believe that the older you are, the better for you and for the country.
Yeah.
That is not true.
Okay.
It's not true because there could be senility. Yes, senility could crop in. Dementia could crop in anytime.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yes.
At about 80, dementia is staring you in the face.
Okay.
All right? Yes, senility. We have seen African countries where presidents, they wee-wee.
Oh, yes.
They wee-wee on their trousers.
Exactly.
Yes, openly.
Yes.
Yes.
At open functions. And
At open function, they've done that.
yes, exactly.
Embarrassing the country, embarrassing the continent of Africa. So, that's not nation building. Give room to people who can do it.
Exactly.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Give room to people who can do it. If you know you have deficits somewhere, either in terms of age, in terms of education and all sorts of things, give room to people who can do it. That's what moves countries forward. That's what gives room to nation building.
Okay.
Yes.
What about our style of governance? Because over time we've been trying to emulate the Westerners. It's either we're trying the parliamentary system or we're trying the democratic system. What about the African kind of rulership? Even if it has to be a monarchy, but then let it be workable. Because the issues of democracy now, or the parliamentary system as the case may be, is not workable for the average African.
It's not as if this system cannot work. It's the people who practice them.
Okay.
Yes, I have said that even some lectures that I've given. That is not the system, it's the practitioners.
Okay.
Okay? And people are talking about restructuring. It doesn't mean anything to me. Because you see, the things you are talking about can be amended by individuals, by leaders. So it's not whether it is a parliamentary or this or this or that. We must work within limits. The confines of propriety. That's what we are saying. Will you say that Traore is a Democrat? No, it's not a Democrat.
It's not a Democrat, actually.
No, it's not a Democrat.
It's not a Democrat.
But it's determined. That's what I said. Steely courage, gritty determination to move that country. Look, Burkina Faso, it used to be Upper Volta.
Yes.
That was the name. Yes. Upper Volta. Now the young man has said, look, no, it can't be tied to the apron strings of these Shylocks. And who are the Shylocks? IMF and World Bank. No. We'll do things without borrowing. And he's doing it.
Yes.
Creating a pathway for nation building for the rest of Africa.
Agreed.
I'm not trying to I'm not doing any PR for him, but that's what we see. We see it every day in the social media and all of that. We see it on a daily basis. And that's what, look at the man in Rwanda, Kigali, from the ashes of war.
Yes.
From the ashes of war. He has built a country. People are running there now for holidays and things like that.
Yes.
Yes, Kigali a few years ago was torn apart. But go to Kigali, one of the things you see is never again. Yes, go to many parts of Rwanda, never again. They came out from the ashes of war to build a nation that they can be proud of.
Yes.
Okay?
Well, we could go on and on and on, and that's how it always is on the program Thoughts and Visions with Dr. Emmanuel Egariva. But then we assure you that in the next edition we're going to trash out some other issues that we couldn't trash out today. But as usual, the CEO has a parting shot.
Yes, parting shot is very simple. Let us make room for compassion. Yes, either in the church or in our neighborhood or in government. Compassion is the key word, really. If people are hungry and you know you're in a position to help them, help them. And don't wait for people to ask you before you help. That's the most important thing. You can tell when somebody is hungry. You can tell from his countenance, from his disposition. Yes, stretch out a helping hand to him. And that's what I think government should be doing, really. People out there are hungry. They are in pain. Government must do things to ameliorate the situation because it is getting out of hand. Yeah, the issue of hunger, the issue of poverty, really getting out of hand. And I hope that this is one issue that government must address very forcefully.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us in the studio.
Thank you very much.
And for you, our viewer out there, I want to say thank you so much for being part of Providence Television International. And we down here will want to hear your comments. We also want to know your feelings as regards our programs. And on this note, I want to say thank you so much for watching. Please stay tuned.